If you grew up in a family that was riddled with addictions, or maybe there was some kind of abuse or trauma, and you knew it wasn't a healthy family, you knew that because other relationships have failed, and you see in your own relationship that you have a deep desire to be needed, there's a good chance you have codependency, or what I refer to as an addiction to relationships. When you have codependency, your whole desire is to give, because you need to be needed. You need people to constantly be after you. Where is this? How did you do this? What do I do about this? And even though it drives you nuts and you begin getting resentful, you may feel like the load is too heavy, those thoughts usually work to sabotage you in the relationship because it's the fallout from your desire to be so needed in a relationship. There's examples of codependency, and I'm going to give you a few of those now. Doing everything for an adult child that should be independent. Getting a sense of meaning or purpose from over-functioning or supporting another child, never allowing your child to do anything independently, never talking about problems or bad behaviors with your significant other or sometimes even your children. And I think also investing a lot of energy and time into taking care of a partner, doing for your partner what they should be doing for themselves, carrying the majority of the load, not allowing your partner to take responsibility for their own losses, not allowing your partner to maintain their independence. All these things are stemming from your need to be the savior, or to be desired, or to be liked, or whatever other reason is underneath that. It happened because when you were growing up, you witnessed it in relationships. You witnessed it with addictions. You witnessed it with how your parents treated each other. And even though you may be so far removed from your family, or you're not around them, it's still difficult to get through codependency. And most people feel defeated before they even start. They feel like they can't do it on their own. But here's the good news. You can do it on your own. Going to see a therapist is better because they can help guide you more thoroughly. But there are things you can do on your own that are really going to help you. But before we go into those things, let me just make sure that you feel like, yeah, this is something I really need to tackle because this is something I really have. So here's how to identify it. Do you feel completed or compelled to help others? In other words, does helping others bring you satisfaction or a relief of anxiety? Do you try to control events and how people should behave? Are you afraid of other people if they reject you or that they won't want you around them? Do you live feeling ashamed of who you are? And that's a lot of times the feeling people from abused families have. Do you try to control events and people through helplessness, guilt, coercion, threats, advice giving, manipulation? That's a big one. Do you have a hard time aiding others with help? Do you often hide what you are really feeling so that you don't have to share it or be vulnerable? Do you push painful thoughts and feelings out of your awareness? In other words, are you avoiding past pains? If you say yes to all these things, then what I'm going to suggest first is that you join a group therapy. And you might say, Mary Jo, what kind of a group? It's really great if you live in a place that has a codependency support group, because there are those groups. But there's also Al-Anon and the 12 steps, because codependency can be a true addiction to relationships. And I've seen people go through Alcohol Anonymous And basically, they identify themselves. I am basically a codependent. This is an addiction. I need to be in a relationship because I need to feel desired. I'm not okay on my own. And also Al-Anon. Al-Anon really helps because many times codependent people are so enabling because they're trying to take care or rescue somebody that they can't stand up to them. They can't face it. And Al-Anon is going to help give you those boundaries that you need so badly to get through codependency. The other thing that you can do is look for healthy relationships. Now, these aren't healthy relationships necessarily to be part of. These are what they look like. So basically, when you watch a movie or when you're looking online, look for shows or characters that identify a healthy relationship. A healthy relationship is two partners coming together, both independent, both suffering their own consequences, both being able to be responsible without blaming, neither really needing or using each other, but wanting each other, wanting to share a life. That's much different than like, I can't live if I don't have this other person. When you start identifying more healthy relationships, you're going to change that brain chemistry that taught you that basically taking care of everybody, rescuing everybody was what your job was, what you needed to do to be in a relationship. Only in sick relationships are those things more important. Secondly, start making boundaries. Write down 3 things you really value in your life, whether it's faith, honesty, sharing feelings, and then draw boundaries around those things. When people violate or they, someone wants to be with you, but they don't believe and they try to tell you you're silly for believing or whatever it is, make a boundary. Don't keep that person in your life. When you set a boundary, you're setting it as a guide rail for you so that no one will distort or devalue what you value most. If family is in that value component of yours, then make sure you draw boundaries around the family so that you're not overdoing at work or rescuing a coworker, because that's a line, and you're not going to do that at night because family time is important to you. And lastly, take care of yourself. When you don't have good boundaries and you're not a healthy person in a relationship, when you're doing for everybody else, you often forget to take care of you. And you are the most essential person. What's going to happen if something happens to you? Make those doctor appointments. Go get a facial or a haircut or something that will help you start adoring yourself. Start pampering yourself. Start realizing you need to advocate for yourself, because in the family you grew up in, no one did that for you, and it's okay. It's important that you do that for yourself then. With these things in place, you really can begin the steps to overcoming codependency. I still think it's a good idea to speak with a counselor one-on-one or online, but at least if you have the group, you're going to have the basis, the foundation, and then building the boundaries and watching healthy relationships and learning to say no to things that are going to sabotage you or going to take you further away from the person you want to be is going to be easier, because you're going to be taking better care of yourself and actually advocating for your own needs, which is going to really help minimize all of that self-hate, all of that resentment, all of that feeling of being locked into something you didn't deserve. Because you're right, you don't deserve it. You deserve a healthy relationship, and you can do it. If this video is helpful for you, please subscribe. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you so much.